And we are live.
Okay, hi guys. Another episode of the Friendly Differences podcast. Tonight we have another one of our chats with a previous guest who was on the gun control episode. I think it was episode 2. Jester from It's Doomsday podcast. On that show in particular, I think that was the show that we realised that having 6 people on was far too much. We didn't give enough people enough time to speak, and you know, when you have overpowering people as well, people that like to talk, which we do like as well, it obviously takes away from other people. And I think Jester was one of those who didn't really get his fair say on that episode. So this is why we want to have everyone on that comes on for these Saturday night shows or Saturday noon shows, depending on where you are, the opportunity to come on, talk about their show, talk about anything that, you know, these are free chats. There's no scripts, there's no notes. So we're delighted to have Jester here. But first, before I jump over to Jester, Solid Blue, take it away. How have you been today?
I have been just fine. Took my pups out for a walk. Well, one of them. The other two, they don't go. But yeah, I have been good. So I'm going to send it back to you.
Okay, Jester, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys just fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Very good.
How have you been?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, man. It's always great to see your face.
You too. Me and Jester have been Snapchatting each other, and some of it's hilarious. We've got like this.
Let's not talk about don't talk about stuff. But Solid,
no,
how are you today?
I am fine. And you know, Jester, I will say this. I came in late to your show Sunday night, and I wish I had heard it from the very start. Because when I went over to Clapper and TikTok, I started to get more in terms of what was said, and I wish I had been part of that. So I do have some questions for you, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. If you want to say none of your business, tell me whatever. But your show
right
on Sunday and the Clapper and the TikTok, the after shows, have me doing my show on Friday night, which for the very first time I'm going to stream onto TikTok if it works. But your show gave me an idea for another show that I have been planning on doing, but I'm retuning it, and it's going to be an extremely, it's going to be a show that some people are not going to be able to handle at all. But thanks to you, I retuned it, and it's going to be a show that if you honestly cannot stand the heat, please do not come, because I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off, and people may piss me off, but that's fine.
Right, I got you. Yeah, and that, I don't know at what point you came in, but the whole premise of the show was to kind of talk smack about the public school system, and then we got off into a weird area with that.
Well, I will say this. Frankie, I don't know how Frankie found my show, but she has been literally like my biggest fan. I mean, I have like 42,000 likes from her. And she after each of my shows, she sends me an email telling me what she thinks about the show, blah, blah, blah. And she messaged me about your show. And I don't know when she came on the show, whatever. I'm assuming she had been there for a while. But whatever was said, I don't want to say it upset her, but she really wished she really wishes that she had a voice on that show. And I think Michael kind of rubbed her the wrong way. So I don't know what was going on and what was said. Because again, when I came in towards the tail end of the conversation was wrapping up. So I think I came in like 45 minutes before you were about to sign off. But right. In that last half hour, you were just people were just coming on. They were making comments, but I missed the juice of the entire show.
Well, that's pretty much what it was. It was a lot of mothers that do homeschooling that came on the show, and that was the whole premise of the show, was kind of why we need to get our kids out of the public school system, and we didn't really stay on target as much as we would have liked to.
Okay. All right. So anyway, as we said, this show, it can go anywhere. So
it sounds like I missed a good show. I messaged you the other day. I missed your show because I usually wake up around 7:15 to drive to work, and as soon as I get into the car, I'm straight on to It's Doomsday, and I'm listening the whole way there. And for the last month, I would say you're either not doing them every day or you're doing them in an earlier time, because I'm not catching you. So what is it? Are you doing them earlier?
It's not that we're doing them earlier. We were doing 2 shows a night, and we're not doing 2 shows a night anymore. So when you were coming in by, you were catching the second show we were doing.
Okay.
That's what it is. So yeah, it's definitely earlier. Yeah.
Okay.
And I did message you telling you to get on to TikTok because
I'm sure.
Yeah. So I did say, that Jester's on TikTok. You need to come over here. So
I'm sure you messaged me. I know. I'm sure that message came in about 5:45 in the morning. I was still sleeping.
Well, I have my world clock, so I know what time it is over there. So.
Yeah.
So I have a question for Jester. If you don't mind, I want to ask.
Yeah, carry on.
This is a question I have been wanting to ask you for like the longest, but now that we're face to face, so to speak, I'm going to ask you. Do you think the election was stolen?
I don't want to use the word stolen, but I think there was a lot of manipulation going on, and they didn't want us to get to the bottom of what that manipulation was. They didn't want us investigating it for whatever reason.
Okay, so let me ask this. You have a man who is occupying the White House, and yes, I'm using the word occupy, occupying the White House, who before any vote was cast, before any ballots were mailed out, mail-in ballots, absentee, whatever, before anything was done, like back in April, he comes out and says, if I don't win, they cheated. And he repeated that over and over and over and over and over again. And as usual, his supporters, everything he says, it is like Jim Jones to me, and he said it so much that when people started voting, it turned into one vote was even, cast or counted, it was fraud. So was it really votes that someone tried to say, someone voted twice, someone voted this, whatever? Because the votes that they did find, they were Republican, where someone voted twice, where this, whatever. And his own judges that he appointed when they went to court, even before the election, they were going to court, which I think is so funny. But the judges, his own judges that he appointed, came out and said, show me the money, show me the proof. And all they could keep saying, well, it's coming. We have it. It's there. But no one, out of all the 65 times that they went to court, out of all the months, no one was able to say, we have proof. So, because I think that he set it up, and he did say that I can shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square, and my supporters will back me.
So, all right, you're probably more knowledgeable on this topic than I am. I believe the reason why he was coming out and saying this is in the first place because they were trying to get away from the mail-in ballots because of COVID. That was a big thing that they were trying to push for, was mail-in ballots. Now, we've had absentee ballots for years, which is fine, and we've utilized them, but this new system is totally different, and they knew how fraudulent it could be, and that's why I believe the warning was given in the first place, was because of COVID. That's why he was saying it for months in advance. I do understand that Trump has a cult-like following. I'm not one of those guys that follows him that way, though. But we had multiple people coming out talking about issues with the Dominion voting machines, and there was guys coming out trying to speak on the news about this, and these stories were being suppressed. And even if you go into your TikTok right now and you go to report a video for false information, you get two options. It's election fraud or COVID-19. So there is clearly a suppression going on that's undeniable that we're all seeing. So why would you suppress something if it wasn't? Yeah, why would you suppress it if it was the truth?
No, and you are absolutely right. But on the other hand, this is why I always have a problem with people who want to come up and say the left, and by you. Well, you already know how I feel about you and the media, but you always say that when you listen to the media, that they take out little points that people, they take out that one little section and then they push it. But Bob, you do that all the time. You will take out little points when you're trying to prove things to me. Like, I don't know how many times you have said to me that when Biden said, if you ain't black, you have said that to me so many times. So you yourself are taking out little points, whatever. But what about all the other things that everyone else has said? Because see, to me, it's like everybody says something that they shouldn't say or is out of line. They have all done it. But I feel that, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything, but I will call myself out. I will call, I have a problem with people like BLM. You want to get up there and say cops are beating black people. Yeah, they are. But at the same time, why don't you go march down a neighborhood with, black on, black crime? I'm willing to call out my own, but I don't see that from other people. So when you throw stuff, in my face, or when you say something, make sure that come on.
See, the problem for me is like our show that we did on Saturday night was kind of my way of explaining to you and the listeners that are listening to us why there's a few shows, and even tonight's, you've asked that question there to Jester about was the election stolen, where I have to, and this is going to come across as really cocky or condescending, but I have to dumb myself down to argue with people about politics. I know that it's all, we're basically living a movie. Like Trump, Biden, and all these characters, and even like the Matt Gaetz and the AOCs, they all know what the plan is, and the plan was to use COVID to push mail-in ballots, to then Trump would then go and say, look, if we lose, we've had our election stolen. They're all in on it. It's literally roles like in a film where they're saying, right, now you have to go out today and say this, and then tomorrow we're going to have Biden go and say that. And then, so to me, I think the only show I could think of is when Michael Key did on your show, My Turn to Talk. He hosted it, and it was about Article 9, was it, transgender. I hardly spoke that. Yeah, I hardly spoke that show because it's like it's brain numbing for me, and a lot of these subjects I do phase out because I'm like, it's just, you're arguing, and you're right. They're on both sides. They'll both have skeletons in their closets. They'll both say things to rile up the left, to rile up the right, and we are going to argue for an hour and a half, 2 hours about those things and get nowhere. So that's the part where I can't do it. I try. I mean, I like having these chats with you guys, but it's also tough for me because I think we're arguing over, it's just stupidness. And even today, Elon Musk has bought Twitter, and I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I think he's in on it. He's someone, who's talked about chips in the brain and all that kind of stuff. And if you look into his background, he took over Tesla. He kicked out the real inventors of Tesla. He screwed them over. He didn't make PayPal, and he's a guy that I would be well worth the watching. But I'll go on Twitter and wind up the left, because sometimes it's like, to make people on the left or right see that their morals and their critical thinking skills are needing brushed up upon, I'll poke fun at them. I will do it, and I'll do it to make their cogs turn. So
Is
that's where
that
I
what you were
stand on
doing
that. And again,
yesterday?
no, because yesterday's show and your show was actually one that
No, I'm talking
I
about
mean, I felt,
when we were going back and forth Twitter.
yeah, because like you're calling out the conservatives for being racists. So can
Nope,
I not do?
that's not what I said. See, don't do that.
I'm paraphrasing, but
Yeah,
basically
pal, what's
you're
wrong
saying.
with you?
But I can't remember the tweets, but you were basically saying that Matt Gaetz and racism in the Conservative Party, and I basically said, well, can I flip it around and say that Democrats are pedophiles and like,
Okay,
because to me,
hold on, Ma. Let's put that in order. You threw out the pedophilia first, and then I threw out
no,
my gate. So let's just I'm just saying, because the
no,
way
no,
the way you're setting it up, it makes it sound like come on.
Well, if you go back and look at the tweets anyway, what I was trying to do is put in a rule that fits what you are saying and also fits what I'm saying to make you and others see that methodology or whatever that is doesn't work. It's like the critical thinking skills between everyone, and I see it so many times. You have to be true to your morals and your philosophy. That's the word I'm searching for. If you apply your philosophy to one thing, you have to go on the other side as well. But there's not a lot of people that are doing that.
And I totally agree. And that's why when, that's why I will come out and when you said the thing about the pedophilia, whatever, I said the thing about Matt Gaetz, and I said, but on every side. That's why I always try to say on every side, because and I know, I'm sorry, Jester, I know this is supposed to be a chat with you, but bye. going back and forth.
No, you're just making this easier for me. I'm just listening in.
I mean, I look at Elon Musk buying Twitter and how the right just came out, and I mean, you can even just look at the tweets that Michael Keith put out. I mean, he is just like so happy, and the right came out, they're so happy, and I started tweeting these things about, well, how come Elon Musk didn't buy Parler? When Parler came out, Parler was supposed to be the next Twitter for the right. That didn't seem to go very well. So how come he didn't buy Parler? How come Parler, how come the right still comes to Twitter, this left-wing place that, oh, these liberals are this, but you all come. So why don't you go to Parler? How come Elon Musk didn't buy Parler? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean,
it makes all the sense in the world.
My critical thinking skills are always on. So, you throw something to me, I'm going to throw it right back to you.
You got to think about this, though. Parler was shut down, right? They shut Parler down. And then you got to also think, like, if you're a business owner, you're going to invest in something that's already doing well. Twitter's already doing well. Parler was struggling from the very beginning.
But why? Why?
There's a few different reasons why. I don't think it got, number one, it didn't have a good operating system. I got on there. I tried it out. I didn't like it. I don't like Twitter either. I don't like Twitter's platform either. I don't much care for it. I might get over there now that I know more people are going to be over there, but it's still not something that piques my interest, just like Parler didn't, right? And I think that a big part of it too is with Parler, you have a select group of people that are utilizing Parler, as to where Twitter, you've got celebrities on there, you've got other businesses on there. It's a greater platform. It's not just this niche how Parler was for conservatives.
But why is it that? Because when Twitter first started, it took me a while, like when I say a while, like years before I went on to Twitter. And why is it that Twitter was able to attract the people that it did? Even if Parler had a better operating system, I still don't think that Parler would have done as well. And one reason is, and this is why I think that we will see, but I think within a year, Twitter is not going to be the way that it is. I think that people are going to start leaving, and the people who are going to be leaving are the people who are on the left. And you're going to have the people on the right who are going to follow the people on the left, because you almost need those people to argue with. And by you always say you say it yourself that after a while it becomes this echo, chamber.
Yeah.
And when because I went on to Parlor. As soon as they saw my name, they're like, "Oh, who is she?" Whatever. And to me, Parlor was just filled with a bunch of just hateful people. And I think that's another reason why it did not do well, because a lot of people just didn't want to hear that. People on the left and people on the right, they just didn't want to hear that anymore. But you have all these people coming to Twitter. And I think that people, depending upon what Elon Musk does, and the people, and even not what he does, but the people that start coming on, I think you are going to see people leaving. And Twitter is going to change. It's not going to be the way, it'll be freedom of speech and all this other stuff that the right wants. But people on the left, I think, are going to start leaving. And the people and they're going to find something else, because something else will pop up that's going to grow. And you're going to have people moving over there. But that's just what I think.
You were all for freedom of speech when we did our freedom of speech show, and I can't believe that that's even like. Are you annoyed at the left? You're saying that the left will leave Twitter when Elon Musk buys it? Well, I think he's bought it today. So, are you annoyed at the left for that? Because to me, that's
no.
Why?
What I'm saying is that when I see tweets come out on both sides, I see some tweets that are just so hateful that I'm surprised that they even stayed up. That Twitter allowed some of these tweets to stay up. I'm saying that if Twitter turned, I think Twitter is going to turn into a Parlor. That is what I think. And if that happens, people are going to leave. I mean, I could be wrong. That's why I said depending upon what Elon Musk does and depending upon the people that come over. But don't forget, don't always assume that you're the only party, on the block. Sooner or later, somebody else, just like Facebook and everything like that, sooner or later, somebody else is going to come up with something else that's going to be the flavor of the month, and other people may start going over there. That's all I'm saying.
I posted a tweet today, and this is an example of me winding up the left. And again, I'm no fan of Elon Musk. I think he's someone to watch. But I wrote, the mass exodus of the weak-minded people leaving Twitter. Bliss. Oh no, freedom of speech is making a comeback. Our feelings might get hurt. To me,
this is what I understand. You say freedom of speech, but you start talking about critical race theory. Oh my God. It's like, seriously. I mean,
no, I mean, I've yet to look into the critical race theory stuff. I'm sure we'll do a show on that. But to me, I'm open-minded. I'll go into, I'll stay on these platforms. I'll challenge myself. Whereas people who are going to leave because freedom of speech is coming back. I mean, imagine talking to someone from the 19th.
You keep saying freedom of speech is coming back. It never left.
It did leave.
It was greatly suppressed.
I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
But, okay,
greatly suppressed.
But suppressed by who? Because on one hand, I think it's funny that the right says that freedom of speech is suppressed, but on the other hand, you look at what the right is doing with these laws and everything that they're doing. I mean, they're banning books. That's freedom of speech. Have you even read any of the books that are being banned? I mean, come on.
Listen, the left are banned, but the books that I want to read because of my views are all banned. I've got to watch banned documentaries and look for websites to download banned books. Like that's a leftist thing, and I don't know the books you're on about, but I mean, if that's happening again, this is where I pull back and say, look, this is all a plan. It's all to, it's not left versus right. It's elitism versus the people. That's what it is. So yes, the left will ban books for decades, and then in 2020 they'll ban some leftist books, and it'll be like, oh, the right. But it's like you guys have been doing that for decades, if not centuries.
And I can say the same thing about the right. So, I mean, come on. So I don't know.
So I wanted to go back to the Parler thing real quick, this Parler versus Twitter thing. Something to consider about this that I don't think anybody has yet. Parler was pretty much designed around the idea of the right, around like patriot conservatives. Okay, so that's a small percentage of the U.S. population, as to where Twitter is a global entity, right? So that's something like how you said it's going to end up turning into Parler. I don't think it would, because it's way too large to turn into Parler,
But
right?
why did Twitter get so big?
Twitter got big because it's global. They didn't focus or center around politics. That's what it was. Twitter was just a free, open platform, right?
So do you think if another platform came around that was like a Twitter, that could also grow and become huge, become international, global?
Not unless they wanted to.
I'm saying, I mean, if they wanted to, yes.
No, not unless the government wanted to. I actually have got a feeling that we're going to be, in the next few years, there might only be one platform. It's like a communistic, one of everything. And it sounds as if Twitter could be that one. Facebook might be the one that gets sacrificed, and all the other social medias. Because I mean, again, I've never joined Parler. I wouldn't even know where to start with Parler. Rumble, I downloaded.
TikTok's on top right now.
Is it?
Yeah, they're on top right now. And then the big thing that's coming next, which I don't think this is going to be a thing that matters at all for Twitter, but True Social is the next thing that's coming out. True Social is the big one.
What's that? Like a social media platform.
Yeah, I'm still not on there yet. Everybody keeps asking me. There's a waiting list to get on this. It's a big deal.
A waiting list?
Yes, there's a waiting list. It is growing rapidly.
So
Yeah.
is it the waiting list because they can't handle all the people, and that's why they're only letting a certain amount of people on, or what is the criteria?
I think that may be what it is, because I think they're still building this up. Michael Key knows a lot more about it than I do. I wish he was here to comment on it. I don't know much about it, but everybody keeps asking me like every other day if I'm getting on True Social, and I said, I don't know yet. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Is this the one that Joe Rogan's pushing, or am I getting mixed up?
It could be.
Okay. See, we need to do our homework on for friendly differences, social medias and streaming platforms. So just now we're doing Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and Solid's been looking into getting TikTok, because I hear that's one quick way to get followers. And I mean, that's what we're all about, is the interaction and getting more guests on, speaking to more people with different views. So we're definitely going to have to do our homework there.
So, Jester, can I ask you a question about law enforcement?
Yes.
Do you think police are the cause of taking the issue higher, like raising the volume? Like if you get to, when they get to a scene, that they could be the cause of making things, the temperature rise in the room?
Yes and no. Yes, because it's a law enforcement officer's job to identify crimes that have taken place. So obviously you may not think a crime that's been committed is very severe till they start going through the crime scene and finding everything else that happened. So clearly that's going to escalate people's emotions, feelings, things like that. And that's why I would say yes. The reason why I would say no is because however somebody emotionally handles something is going to be how they escalate it on their own.
So can I ask you, I don't know the young man's name, and they just came out and named the police officer yesterday, the police officer that shot the guy in the back of the head.
Where did this take place? I don't know about this story.
This was over the weekend. A police officer pulled a guy over and told him to stay in his car. The guy did not stay in his car. He got out and he was not armed. And he says, "Why did you stop me?" And the police officer said, stay in your car, get back in your car. He says, what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. So somehow or another, they go from being on one side of the street to wrestling on the opposite side. And the police officer, his his camera went out, and he says, give me back my taser, give me back my taser. And when his camera comes back on, the guy that he's wrestling with saying, give me back my taser, give me back my taser, the young man is on his stomach, and the police officer is on top of him. He says, give me back my taser, give me back my taser. Then you see the officer pull out his gun, point blank, pow, shoots the boy right in the head. But then the officer did something that was very interesting. He turns around and he sees somebody was filming the entire thing. And he looks shocked, like, oh shit. And he says, turn it off, leave. And the guy, whoever was filming it, kept filming it. When you look at it, first of all, if it was a taser, and is it true that officers are when they go through training with tasers that they're supposed to get tased?
It depends on the academy. It depends on department requirements. They all kind of vary. Most do. They want you to ride the lightning so you know what you're deploying. They want you to know what it feels like. So I don't know the story. I'm looking it up a little bit and I'm reading on the side here, but I'll tell you this. If a police officer has a taser taken off them, if they take something from their belt, anything like that, they could then use to inflict deadly harm upon the law enforcement officer or anybody else in the general public, I do believe they have right to use deadly force. Because the moment, if he didn't give that taser back and he decided to use that taser on the cop, then he could have got his gun at that point and then killed him.
Well, keep reading the story, because the interesting thing is this young man never had the taser. Okay,
so I'm just going based off what you're telling me. I haven't read the whole
this
article.
Is what I'm saying. Just keep looking it up, whatever. But that's why I ask if you're, because there have been times when I was growing up, my sister and I, we would be arguing like cats and dogs. And then it starts to wind down. Then my mother comes into the room, and, and then the argument starts over again because she said something and she had just kind of stayed out of it. My sister and I were, we were winding it down and we were figuring it out for ourselves. That's why I was, wondering if you think that the police officers sometimes can escalate the situation.
No, you'll get somebody that shows up, that's already having a bad day and things aren't going too well for them and they're already stressed out and, mad or pissed off about a situation. They start dealing with somebody that's giving them shit. And, I believe that they could escalate it. But
no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But again, it's all circumstantial. I don't think anybody shows up on a scene to make the problem worse. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's the primary goal. They don't want to show up to escalate a problem, to have more paperwork, to have more to deal with.
Do you think training should be longer?
I do think training should be longer. I absolutely. And everybody that's on this kick of like defund the police, I think the police need more funding. I think training should be a lot longer. Well, absolutely.
The defund the police, I think that was one of the dumbest statements ever. I think the police department needs to be reformed, but I don't think that they need to be defunded. But then again, I want to know, why does it seem like that the United States, that our police officers have more issues than other places around the world?
Because Americans suck.
Okay.
I mean, from point blank, that's it. I've been overseas, in the town we go to over there, there's very little police presence. There's no crime. There's nothing going on. It's a problem with us. Americans are really good at screwing each other over. That's like one great tactic we have, is screwing each other over. And, you know, the big thing is if we were more of a controlled population, if we could self-regulate, we wouldn't even need so much police. You wouldn't have all these issues, but we suck.
So why do you think we suck?
There's a lot of reasons. I mean, I don't really know where to start, but I mean, greed's a big one in this country. Nobody's happy with what they have. Greed's a big one. I guess Ba's got one. What's up, Ba?
The media.
Yes, the media is another big one. The media likes to incite violence and problems, and they try to tell you how you need to live your life and what you need to have, and this encourages you to work hard or steal for your money or get involved with crime, and if that doesn't work out, you get depressed. So what's a good way to solve that? Drugs and alcohol. So then you become a druggie or you become an alcoholic, and, you know, that reflects on your kids. Then you're beating your kids, and they grow up in this shitbag cycle. So it's repetitive. It's this, things don't operate right in this country at all.
America is the world stage, literally the world stage. We all watch America. The UK, we do have our problems. Obviously, we're a shit country as well, but we get little snippets at the end of our news every day, and it's always negativity. And like I've said to you before, when I work in workplaces here in the UK, and you go into new canteens, you're talking with new people. This has happened so many times in the last few years where a guy will be sitting reading his newspaper all quiet, and you'll just go, woman goes into supermarket and like something hilarious or so stupid, and it'll be someone else will go, America. Yeah. It's like, and that's like, it's sad, but the UK people think America are dumb or just hateful or all this kind of, like, we see the BLM riots and we're like, oh, you know, you see the videos and the footage and you're like, oh, well, that's America for you. That's how we feel because that's what we are being shown. And, you know, that's not the case, because I'm married to an American and I know that's not the case. And I've, you know, you guys and all that, but that's how powerful the media are. If you could be the best person in the world, the loving best person in the world, but the media can turn you into the worst person in the world just by, you know, looking into your past or doing anything. And that's how powerful they are. So I'm sorry that I keep saying the media, but they control our minds. You're literally telling us a story there about a black man being shot in the back of the head by a white cop. The only reason you know that is because of the media.
I didn't say white cop. I just said cop because I was asking about law enforcement.
She didn't use the word white, Bob.
I didn't see. He always does that to me. He always does that.
No, I'm not. I'm telling the listeners it was a white cop and a black man. I didn't say you were, but the reason you know that story and you don't know the other, you know, hundreds of thousands of, you know, like here I'll go back again, right? In the UK, roughly 300, was it 30,000 or 300,000 homicides a year? It must be 30. Yet we only find out about the odd 2 or 3 because it's the 2 or 3 that they want you to know about, and it'll push agendas, it'll societal, you know, our shows, your show, My Turn to Talk, some of our talking points are surrounded around those ones that the media want to tell us, and they tell us the ones that they want to tell us to get us arguing, distraction. Me and you and other people sitting here for 2 hours arguing about a white cop killing a black man is suits them, because then we're distracted from what the government are really doing by taking away freedoms and implementing things that we don't want. That's what it is.
You know, when you and your wife come back to California to visit her family, if they let you in the country,
exactly,
if you're not vaccinated, yeah, we're going to have to sit down and have a face-to-face. I may have to take you to the back of the woodshed. So, Jester, can I ask you another question?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think of January 6th?
Okay.
See, I have my questions here.
Okay. I think that the American people have every right to go in and storm the Capitol building. The government overreach in this country is huge. I feel that they have every right to do it. I don't feel like they did it in the right way, though. but I wasn't there, and I know that the media made this look a lot worse than what it was. If you go back and you do some follow-ups with things, I did a live show on I'm trying to think what it was. They were trying to do justice for the people that got taken to jail during the January 6 stuff. And it was a calm, peaceful thing. No one was freaking out, nothing. Tons of police presence because everybody was worried something was going to break bad, but it was fine the whole time. And this was live coverage. Now, you go back and you look at the photos from January 6th, a lot of these guys, I mean, they're sitting there, they're taking selfies. They're like, this wasn't an angry mob, right? You had that one area where they were trying to get in where that one girl got shot. But that was like the only images or only videos that I saw of a hostile group of people.
So, Jordan, all right, because we're watching completely different things because while that was going on, I was literally flipping the channel on like news stations around the world. And the only station that was not filming what was going on that day was Fox News, which I thought was funny. But
I'm not a fan of Fox News.
Okay, but all of these stations were like filming it, and you're looking at, I know there's that one part where they were all filing through the credenza, whatever, and they were all seeing single file, whatever, and that's what Fox News likes to show. But when you see what was going on outside, this is live, and this is coming from multiple places from all over the world. And you see, people who say, yeah, back the blue, but you're beating up another police officer with the American flag. Everyone who is talking about how dare Colin Kaepernick, I always get his name wrong, Neil, but yet you're beating someone else up with the American flag. So, I don't know. Yes, you have the right to storm whatever, but yelling, hang Mike Pence, which they did do, and now Pence is starting to come out where Pence is telling Secret Service, I'm not getting in that car, because they wanted to whisk him away to some Air Force base or whatever, and he said that he wasn't leaving. He refused to leave. He said he had a job to do, and he was going to do it. So, yeah, you can storm the Capitol, but let me ask this. If it was BLM doing it, do you think the outcome would have been different in terms of not letting, meaning would they have even gotten to the Capitol steps?
If BLM did it, I don't think it would have been publicized as big in the media at all. And I don't think anybody would have got shot.
See, I don't think it would have, two things. Three things. Number one, if no one got shot, I think it's because they would not have let them even get onto the lawn. Number two, if they did get to the Capitol steps, I think there would have been a whole lot of people dead. I think it would have been a lot of dead people. And I don't think it would have been cops.
I don't know. Well, here's the thing. I also think Antifa is inside of BLM. Right.
Well, and Antifa, and that's another thing. Antifa is, I'm Antifa. Antifa is anti-fascist. It's people who are against that. It is not a group of people. People think that Antifa is like these group of people who have this building somewhere and they're all sitting around talking. Antifa is people who are against anti-fascists. I'm against so it's funny to me when people say, well, Antifa is doing this. What the hell is Antifa doing?
Okay, so it's not that Antifa is this group that has a building. The group Antifa I'm talking about, they have a secret lair and then they infiltrate things to cause chaos.
But that would be for every group. That would be for BLM.
Oh, yeah.
Be for the government. That would be for the Proud Boys. That would be for everybody. But
I'll tell you,
they attach the negativity to BLM.
If BLM did the January 6th insertion, I think that they would have burnt the Capitol building to the ground. And I think they would have gotten away with it. I really, really, truly do.
And see, and that's and hold on, I have to tell my dogs to knock it off.
Okay.
Sorry.
Who do you think got a harder time, the 2020 BLM riots and looting, or January 6th?
Well, see, that's the thing. When you talk about the riots, the BLM protesting and riots, there was so much damage done. There were so many businesses that didn't recoup for that. The insurance claims were wild, and very little people were held accountable for things.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it really odd how you could have a group of people going around city to city, destroying private-owned businesses. I mean, like, look, you have a problem with the police, you have a problem with the government. Go destroy the police station. Go destroy the Capitol building. Go destroy, the things that matter. Don't go through a private neighborhood and start throwing rocks through windows or start destroying her private property. If you're mad at me because I did something wrong, yeah, destroy my stuff. But if I have nothing to do with it, what good does that do? You're destroying my stuff. I have no part in it. Insurance rates are going up. Everything's getting harder. And you're giving the group as a whole a bad name. Right?
So do you think that it was all BLM who was doing that? You don't think that it was, people who came in to and antagonize? Not saying that BLM didn't, because there were some people who I think even used the excuse of BLM on every side to go in there and cause chaos, whatever. Because again, I was sitting there watching TV and I'm like, here we go again, but I don't think that if BLM had gone on January 6th, I don't think they would have burned it to the ground, because they would have known what the repercussions would have been, and the price that would have been paid would have been extremely, extremely heavy. It would have been extremely heavy for all of us. And when I say all of us, I'm talking about people that look like me.
No, I'm telling you, I think if they went in there, I think it would have been better for BLM to go in there in the first place instead of going around the country destroying everything. Could you imagine? Okay, so this is the thing. You got BLM, they go into the Capitol building, they burn it to the ground. Do you know what kind of support they're going to get from foreign countries? Do you know how much more the federal government is going to respect this group of people when they say, hey, we're not taking your shit anymore? I think it would have went out. I think it would have went way better.
I see. And that's where, I mean, that's just me disagreeing. That, to me, the only way, and Ba has heard me say this on multiple occasions, and Michael Key has heard me say on multiple occasions. To me, the only way that BLM or Black people can be heard is through the wallet. Through the wallet. And right now I am seriously moving towards, been talking to a lot of people, a lot of organizations, to get a economic Black boycott going, where Black people for 1 month, just do not spend money, because we are.
I've said that from the very beginning with the BLM stuff. It would have been way better if everybody would have just organized and said, you know what, we're not going to work for a month. Just let the entire.
No, I'm not talking about going to work. I'm talking about not spending money.
That's one side of it too, but that doesn't really hurt the federal government if you're still going to work, because they're still getting your tax money.
Right. But but when right now we're in the middle of inflation, which I think was set up by another group of people. But we have all of this stuff that is going on. People still trying to get over COVID. People, can't get bread because somebody's not going to work to put the bread on the shelves, whatever. When you don't spend money, it shuts down. It's slowly but surely, it starts to shut down everything. And the economy would just be devastated, because Black people spend, just in America alone, close to $1 trillion every year. And if we did not spend money, and I did the math on this, if we didn't spend money for 1 week, the economic devastation that it would cause, not just in this country, it would be felt overseas.
Can I ask something? I've got to word this the right way without sounding Well,
No, just say it. Just say it.
How can you push that black people are oppressed and then say that black people have the power to pull down a whole country, or
And see, this is where I have to say, and excuse, and I don't mean stupid. I do not
know
mean,
you're right. You're right,
this is
because
where
I'm
I
probably
say
missing something.
the white ignorance comes in. You have, and I have to go back because history, this is why I think you need to go back in history and teach it for people to understand what is going on now. I have to bring up 1955, the Montgomery bus boycott. Yes, Black people were oppressed. We're getting, sprayed with water hoses. We have to drink out of a certain fountain. We're being called this. All these things. You have to get on the bus you have to walk up to the front of the bus, put in your dime, get off, and enter again through the back. Sometimes the bus driver would, drive off, and everybody on the bus is laughing. They think that's funny. So they come up, it actually wasn't Rosa Parks. It was another young lady who was 15 years old who refused to give up her seat, but she wasn't the right person to have the reason for the boycott. But when Rosa Parks did it, Black people said, I'm not going to ride the bus. You want to oppress us? We're not going to ride the bus. We're going to show you how much you need our money. Sure enough, when it first happened, Black people getting up 4 o'clock, or the Negro getting up at 4 a.m., walking to work, miles and miles to work, wearing out their shoes, and they have to start the carpool or whatever, ride bikes, whatever they had to do to get to work, to clean up somebody else's house. And they didn't think it was a big deal. But then the bus company started to lose money. So what did some of the white people do in Montgomery? They started to threaten them. They started to burn down their houses. They started to beat them up. You better get on that bus. Nope, not doing it. So after a year, when the bus company was literally bankrupt, and they said, oh shit, these people mean money. We better start treating them a little better. That's what that means. So I understand what you're saying, but it's about the dignity. And the only way that happens is money. You can protest all you want to. When BLM was doing all that stuff, I was sitting back going, you got to get them in the money. It's the wallet. You hit that wallet, and boy,
yeah. Jester,
and I think 10 years ago, when Black and Hispanic people stopped shopping at Walmart, I think they stopped shopping at Walmart, I think for a week. Walmart lost so much money. They lost so much money just from one group of people not shopping there. We are close to $1 trillion industry. We have always been the, as I always say, back when during slavery, we were the cash crop, and we're still the cash crop.
Jester?
I don't know. I still think it would be better if everybody just refused to go to work, because once again, the tax money, and then also when people start seeing they're not getting their goods and services, it's going to make them wake up even more. When you're saying, everybody stops spending money, yeah, you're hurting the corporations, but you're not waking up citizens to this. But whenever citizens have garbage start piling up in front of their house, or they can't, open up a school building, or whatever the case may be, whatever jobs get shut down when people don't get their goods or services, they're going to question why. And then they're going to go to these corporations and stuff too and say, hey, you guys got to do better, because this is horrible. I mean, think like
but
there's no,
the government is not going to be affected by that whoever
the government would be more affected if everybody quit going to work, because the tax money because you got state tax and federal tax depending on where you live, right? And then if nobody's working, they're not spending money anyway. So it's doing what you're doing. It's just adding extra.
But Jester, people are not going to work now. I mean, people have. I mean, after COVID, everybody found Jesus and said, "I'm not going to go to work because I'm getting screwed over," and they're not going to work now. So we don't have goods getting on the shelves. We have things that are backed up. I was in Target, Sunday, and I was like, "Excuse me, can you tell me where I can find?" And this girl was so frazzled. She says, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, we have it, but it is literally in the back. We don't have people who more and more people are calling in sick or whatever." And she says, "Ma'am, can you just come back another day?" I was like, "Don't worry, okay." So but people aren't coming to work now. I mean, they aren't.
Yeah, but you're talking like certain people aren't going to work right now. If you had the entire black population stop working, do you know how great of effect that would have?
Right, but then and that's also showing, and then they don't go to work, and then they lose their jobs. So it's easier just not to spend money, because if I don't go to work and if I keep calling in sick or whatever, pretty soon, the boss is going to say, "Well, you're not coming to work, so see ya."
Yeah, but if it's nationwide. If it's a nationwide, like, anti-work, anti-spend money protest, I mean, they can't. I mean, what are they going to do? They might not even be able to open their doors for you to come to work anyway, right? Say you work at a restaurant and your driver that supplies your restaurant with food is a black man that's, not coming to work either. They're going to have to shut down that restaurant because they're not getting their food supply. I mean, there's so much more here. There's so many moving parts. Everything would shut down. They would tell you to stay home from work because they couldn't get what they need for you to do your job. Yeah, those wheels are turning now, aren't they?
No, I hear you. I just disagree with you, because now my next question is going to be with everything that's going on in Florida with what DeSantis is doing with Disney. What would happen if Disney said, "You know what? We're just going to shut down Disney World and we're just going to pull out"? Property taxes would go up probably about 25%, because it's going to affect all these other places who's going to have to make up this stuff. So what would happen if Disney just said, "You know what? You want to do this to us? Oh, okay." Tourists make up more than half of your income, your money, whatever, for this for this state. So if we were just to pull up, yes, you have this, and people can go here and people can go here, but Disney World is huge. So what would happen if Disney said, "Okay, you all want to do this to us? We're just going to pull up and leave"? Not only are you going to put everybody out of work, the thousands of people that work there, but the economy would take a huge hit.
Is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to do when you're upset at the government? You want to screw the economy and screw the people. That's the part I don't get.
And what you're totally missing is not me wanting to screw the government or the economy. My point is, again, I go back in time to history, to Montgomery, to Woolworths, and what have you, where it's about rights. And right now, I don't like the voting laws that they have put into place. So again, you're looking at me trying to screw people. I'm talking about getting justice.
So about the Florida are taking away is this about the polling stations in Florida that
I'm talking about, I'm saying DeSantis is taking away the what is it, the self-governing,
they have some kind of a special tax status where they regulate themselves, and that's being taken away, which, I mean, and they had it for years.
They've had it since the beginning, right? Since they first
I think so, yeah.
It's like 60 years, whatever.
Listen,
so
Disney's not going anywhere.
So
Disney's not going anywhere. They're not pulling out of there. If anything, they would just resell the park to somebody else and it would get rebranded.
Okay, but I'm saying, but what would happen if Disney were to pull out?
As of now, they would feel the effects in Orlando. But you gotta understand too, people aren't traveling to Florida anymore just for Disney. I went to Disney once. I hated it. I'll never go back. I didn't like it. Too many people. It's disgusting. Everything's overpriced. Lines are horrible. Like it's no fun at all. But right by there, you also have Universal, and then you go down to Tampa, you have Busch Gardens. There's other tourist
So you
areas
don't think
there.
that okay, so Disney, so you mess with Disney first, then Universal is going to be next, and then the next thing, and then it's going to be something else. Because that's how I see these laws going. It's like you start with one, and then it's going to be the next person, then it's going to be the next person, then it's going to be the next person.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, let's face it. Disney had a good run with what they got. You know, for the incentive, the money incentives, they had a good run. I mean, you know, they didn't have to decide to get themselves involved in the political side of things. That was their choice to make as a private corporation, and they did that. And now they're feeling the effects of it. You know, so I mean, and honestly, like Orlando's not a horrible area. I've been through Orlando plenty of times. I would go there for the beach before I'd go there for Disney, right? If Disney shut its doors tomorrow, they would feel a great effect. Like Orlando would definitely notice a big shift. But I think Universal or these other companies would just pick that money up. You know, I think it really would.
Okay.
There is a conversation to be had around what we can do if we're not happy, and for me, I would never protest because I think, you know, going back to what we were talking about earlier with BLM and January 6th and even Antifa, like I was under I mean, this is even just a couple of years ago, I believed that Antifa, you know, the whole link to George Soros where he was funding a group of Antifa, which in my view is there, you know, you're right, Solid, but there's also these balaclava, baseball bat, hoodie wearing punks that go around protesting, throwing Molotov cocktails and baseball bats and bricks through bus windows. And I believe they were a leftist group called Antifa. And I'm under no illusion that there's also that on the right as well, where when a leftist protest is happening, they can just throw in some organized group funded by whoever go in and ruin that protest. And it's like the truckers in Canada. That was for me, that was a raw, good protest that all they needed to do was throw in a man stood there with a swastika and put it on media and go, all of these truckers are Nazis because of that one man. Again, the power of the media. But this is why I would never protest. I think protesting will never get you anywhere because they can ruin your protest. They can turn it, you know, you could have a peaceful, good protest and they could turn it nasty by throwing in a few bad eggs. And I don't think it's the way to go. I mean, your boycott, I think that's probably a decent one because you're affecting, as long as you're not affecting innocent people. Like that's why I don't like when you're talking about pulling Disney out and affecting the economy and affecting the people.
I didn't say pulling out Disney. Why do you always change my,
Oh,
my
sorry.
words around? You do
I'm
that all
bad.
the time. You do
I
that
am
all the
bad.
time. Stop it.
It's
You can't
because
trust these gingers, Solid. These redhead ones, you got to watch out for them.
No, but you've said on Twitter a few times about what would happen if Disney pulled out. So you're
And
basically
I said, right. What would happen? I did not say I want Disney to pull out. I'm putting it out there because if someone can make a law, then my question is just like you say, put those critical, thinking skills on. What would happen if? What would happen if this happened?
To me, that sounds like you're sitting back going like this. I hope Disney pulls out.
No, because if I wanted to I would hope that you know me well enough by now. If I want to say something, I'll come out and I will say something. Okay, I was that person in school when somebody said, "Did you say this about me?" Yep, I said it. So I will come out and I will just say it. But again, I'm just saying, what would happen? What would happen if this? But yet, you have people all the time saying things that are insightful. I'm not trying to incite anyone. I mean, if I want to do something, I'm going to say I want to do this, and I have been saying to people we should have an economic black boycott. So
to me, the main one is just don't pay tax, but we don't even have the power to do that. Our tax is taken before our wages are given to us. So I mean, that's the biggest one. And, my biggest gripe is if the government are doing something, it's probably because they've got your money to do it with. Where anything that's government funded isn't, it's people funded. It's our money. They're bombing countries on our money. They're doing everything on our money. So don't pay your taxes. But nobody's got the balls to do it because you're threatened with jail and all that bullshit. But to me, that's the only
There have
way.
been a couple of people who have had the balls to do it. I mean, the person who occupied the White House did it for years. So, so yeah. So Jester, I have another question for you. Do you think racism is real?
Oh, you're muted.
Can't hear you. Can't.
Muted. It's okay. We can edit this bit out until you fix it if you want. I don't know what it is. See on the screen, Jester. See the mute button on the screen. You've got mute, stop video, share.
Yeah, he just did that. He just did that, and it didn't work.
What's happening?
There it is. There it is.
Now we
Back
can hear
now?
you.
All right. Yeah, I have no idea. I unplugged my
I
mic
will-
and plugged it back in. It started working. I don't know.
I will ask my question again. Do you think racism is real?
It is very real. I think it's widely blown out of proportion. I don't think anybody really wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, I feel racy today. I'm going to go be racist. I don't think that's quite how it goes. And I think that a lot of things get spun so people think that there is racism when there's really not. I worked a detail one night, and these two girls came through, and this was at a theme park type setting. And we have these glow necklaces. You put them on, and that allows the characters and actors to touch you, right? That's what it's for. And what ended up happening was one of the girls said that she got grabbed either too forcefully or inappropriately or something like that. Now, these are actors going through in the dark, grabbing you, so they're allowed to put your hands on you when you're wearing these glow necklaces. You know what you sign up for. This was at the end of the night. They filed their complaint at the very end of the night, whenever all the actors were out, have gone home, like the park was shutting down. They spent the rest of the night in the park, then came to us, said they wanted to file a complaint. And we explained them very, very simply, okay, this isn't a matter with us because we are just in-house details. You have to get the sheriff's office out here because we cannot file charges against these guys because we're hired by them to be here. We have no power to file charges. All right? We have the same powers that you do. You could call the sheriff's office or we could call the sheriff's office. They took it that it was racist that we couldn't do anything. It is physically out of our job description we couldn't do anything. But that's how they took it. So you do have people that invent things to be racist. Then that's a big problem I think we have too, because I'm sure these two girls went and told their friends, oh, these racist-ass white guys, they didn't want to help me out. And it's like, no, I'm explaining to you what you have to do. You just don't like the answer you're getting. And I've seen that a ton of times.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that racism is real. I don't think anybody wakes up and says, yeah, let's go be a racist today. But I also think that people can't identify what racism is, so they label everything as being racist, right? I think that's a big part of it.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that people like those girls, why do you think that they took it as racism as opposed to these guys really can't help, I need to go here?
I don't know. Maybe because of the influence, maybe the influence that you see on TV, right? Maybe the media is a big factor in that. We had a girl. I used to be an instructor at a school. I used to teach welding school years and years and years ago, and there was this one student that was in there, good student, but liked to run her mouth a lot. like really good student, worked hard, studied hard. Everything was fine. She ran her mouth too much and she liked to cause problems. So eventually I had to take her aside one and I said, hey, listen, we've got 20 people in here that we're trying to get educated with this. Like, I know you have a lot going on and I know you're trying to get things fired up here. Like, I really need you to just stop because you're literally taking away from us teaching everybody else at this point. And you know what she said? Oh, it's because I'm black. Like, no, that's not what it is. I have 10 black students in here. You're the only one that's causing problems. I just need you to stop so everybody can focus on what they're doing. It has nothing to do with race. If you were white, I would tell you the same thing. But if I had this conversation with a white person, they're not going to tell me they're not going to tell me it's because I'm white because I'm also white, right? So you do have separation between races. And I think a lot of the times people do, if they're not getting their way, if they're not getting what they want, they automatically pull that race card. I think it's a very prevalent thing.
Okay. No, I mean, and I think you're absolutely right. I think that people do pull the race card, but I also think that some people refuse to see when it's racism. I think that some people are racist and they don't even know it.
So my mother-in-law, not racist, but terrified of black people, just terrified. Don't know why. It's not like she's had a bad experience with anybody. It's not like she's ever had a run-in, but totally scared of black people. Don't know why, just a thing. Not racist by any means, just scared of black people. I don't know what. Explain that one. I thought that one was very interesting.
Tell her to turn off the TV.
I mean, this is where, you know, we have these incidents with these Karens, you know, what have you, that, you know, I'm in Central Park and instead of, you know, first thing they say, oh, this black man is doing this, or, you know, you have another Karen who'll say, oh, you know, this black man is trying to get into my building. And then when they're in the building, you know, they're like, show me your key fob. And they're like, well, I live here, prove it. You know, and it's what a lot of black people now are saying. We still have to show freedom papers. You know,
I've seen these videos. I know what you're talking about.
You know, seriously. You know, and one of the videos that, you know, that do you know who Roland Martin is?
No, I do not.
Okay. He does these segments where well, I'm not going to say what their name, but he does these segments and where they have these Karens and these Kens, they call them Kens too now. And this one guy was in the store and he keeps talking to this one black guy. Just, I'm not going to say N word because that's not what they're saying. I'm going to say the word because I hate when people say, oh, you said that the N word. No, I'm going to say what it is. He kept saying, nigga this, nigga that. And the guy kept saying, you going to keep saying that. You going to keep saying it. He's like, what you going to do? You know, nigga, please. You know, da-da-da-da. The guy turned around, he had a can of soda in his hand, threw that can so hard at that guy's head. And then the guy was shocked. And then he started just giving this beat down. And then all of a sudden, this other white guy said, okay, it's enough. And the guy said, well, it wasn't enough when he kept talking to me. Now it's enough because he's getting his ass whooped. You know, so it's like, is it ignorance, or are you just trying to push the envelope, or are people racist and they don't even, I mean, because I do believe that some people are racist and they don't know it, or they're not aware of what they're saying. But on the other hand, I think some black people, I think they push it and they do want to play the race card. And it's like, seriously, guys, come on now. Did you really have to say that? So I don't know.
No, I get it. I agree with you. I do think there could be people out there that could, you know, have racial tendencies and do not realize that they have them. But at that point, if somebody has a tendency to do something, they don't realize they do it, you can't really blame them for it either, can you?
No, but okay, but do you keep giving these people a pass?
Like, well, I guess it depends on what it is.
Well, I mean, okay. One thing that Okay. One thing that I absolutely cannot stand hearing is when people say, some of my best friends are Black. And it's like, okay, why are you saying that? Why do you have the need to say that? I don't go around saying some of my best friends are white. I mean, what is the need to say that? Or people who say, I am not racist. Why do you feel you have to say that before you say something that is racist? It's like, why do before you say something that is like, do you understand what you just did?
So I think that a lot of people start conversations with "I'm not racist" because so many people have been falsely accused of being racist. So that's a big part of it too. I don't advertise that I have any Black friends just because I don't. I've had a few over the years. But the friends that I had that were Black, we were into the same stuff. Like we liked hockey, we liked metal music. Like we were in there. There were things that made us connect as friends. I'm not going to go select a friend just because of the color of their skin. My best friend, Grizz, he's Colombian or Mexican or some shit. I don't know, but I don't care. But again, me and him are into all the same shit. That's why we
But
click.
you don't
That's
go
why we get
around
along.
saying one of my best friends is Mexican. You don't say that.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
because there's not the same worry about the racism card. Like you're so on edge. Like that's how I feel and how I did feel at the start when I first met you and Shy Lady and all and on people on My Turn to Talk was I felt on edge, and I almost probably did at one point say, look, I'm not racist, but so you always have to premise this because you see again the media, you see the stories that are pushed in it. If you're going to have an interaction with a Black person, you're walking on eggshells in case they're like the people that I told you about, the people that I've been seeing in the media, the 1% progressive type, liberal, leftist type that throw the race card out at the drop of a hat. So you've always to feel like you've got to say that. And there's a reason. It's not in our heads. This is maybe white fragility in your mind, but I don't think it is. I think it's a real thing. Like Jester says, twice he's been, probably more so, the race card's been thrown out. And I'd love to know where my white privilege card is so that I can start doing that. Or maybe I've thought often about the ginger card, because gingers, we get bullied. We have no soul. So I'm going to
You are
start
the white devil.
throwing out. Are you instead of racist? I'm going to say gingerist. Are you gingerist? Are you not giving me the job because you hate gingers?
No, because they have gingivitis. They got a bad case of gingivitis. That's what it is.
But Bob, when you first came on my show, and I actually liked you. I actually, when you first came on that first time, Shy Lady and we were talking, and we liked you. I mean, I immediately
the exception.
liked you. I mean, and I hope that I never gave you the impression that I didn't. I mean, I was very happy that you were coming on my show, and I tell Jester the same thing. When I came on his show, I was like, okay, I know just from my name alone, because I had been on some shows where they saw my name and they were like, are you Black? Are you this? But they would just come out and they would ask me this. I'm like, really? Whatever. But Jester, when I came on your show, you were welcoming. You never once. I mean, I like you and I wanted to come back, whatever. So, and I did,
So does that mean I could start telling people I have a Black friend?
Yes, I can. I will be your one Black friend.
Yes, I got one. Awesome.
That one. But I mean, I don't know, and then when I look at Podbean, for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe you all can answer this. Why does it seem that like Podbean, that platform tends to attract people from the right more so than people from the left?
Because we've been pushed out everywhere else. That's why. I could get on TikTok and Solid, here's something to do. Get on TikTok and start scrolling through the lives that are on there, and you will see how you'll have all these like anti-gun lives, and you'll have LGBTQ lives, and get vaccinated lives, Joe Biden's awesome lives. But if it's anything that contradicts it, TikTok shuts it all down. They don't let it on there.
And that surprises me, because considering that TikTok is run by a certain group, I don't want to say it because I don't want YouTube to take this down. Run by a certain group, that kind of surprises me that they would allow
This show is never seen up on YouTube, by the way, so just say it. Because I don't know who it is. I thought it was the Chinese.
Yeah. So,
headquarters is in California.
Branch.
Okay, I'm just saying that. And then that's another thing too. I think all these places, I can see banning if you're calling someone out of their name, you're using racial slurs, you're, threatening them, whatever. But if someone is saying something that you just don't like, you just don't like it. How many times did we go through this entire world, from the time we're born to the time we die, that someone's going to say something that we don't like?
Can I also add to the question you asked, Jester, about Podbean? I think a big reason as well is because you are the exception. This is why you are, why I love you so much, because you are willing to go on these platforms and challenge yourself. There's not many leftists or liberals willing to go on shows and start a podcast and challenge themselves against conservatives. And that goes for not only podcasters, but even on the mainstream, on the news. You very rarely see a leftist debating a conservative. It's hard to find, and even again on with my views, the conspiracy stuff, you'll find it very hard for a non-conspiracy theorist to debate a conspiracy theorist, because they don't want to. They're obviously, it's an embarrassment if they get destroyed, or they know that. For me, again, I know you're not going to like this, but when liberals and leftism uses feelings and emotions, and then conservatives use facts and statistics and empirical data, I don't think leftists can win a debate. They can win. Everyone holds their own opinion and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think you can win a debate when you use facts.
That's where I think you're wrong, because I think the right, they run away from a lot of facts. And one of the biggest facts I think that the right runs away from is history. They run away from that. They don't want to talk about it. They want to say, oh, well, let's talk about now, or two wrongs don't make a right, whatever. It's like, how come, we can talk about this? It's okay for y'all to talk about this and say this, and this. But as soon as this is brought up, oh, do you really have to? Oh, my kid is just too fragile. Oh, no. Come on.
Well, I'll debate you.
Seriously, because as I've said, in fact, Jester, one of your listeners, he reached out to me and asked if he can, we were talking on the phone yesterday. Tiff,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We had a really good talk yesterday. And, I just see it like this. With everything that is going on with you want to say that the left doesn't want to debate this, the left doesn't want to do this, but again, when it comes to history, the right, they just don't want to hear it. And if our kids are old enough to experience things, your kids are old enough to learn about it, because our kids are experiencing a lot, and your kids are old enough to learn about it. A lot of times, some of the things that our kids are experience are coming from your kids. So
I'll make this quick, and we'll ask if you've got one more question for Jessica, because I know we're heading to we're an hour and 23, but I'll only say to that is, I think the reason, and I did say this on Twitter yesterday, was I think the reason why you're saying that is because the people that are living in 2022 don't want that stuff thrown down their faces, because it wasn't them. It's like what happened in history wasn't them. We talked last night on your show about the misogyny that occurred in the early 1900s, even, where women were owned, they were property. And you don't, like, I would hate if a woman come up to me and started throwing that down my throat, because that's not how I am. And it's the same with the slavery issue and the critical race theory, I assume, because I haven't looked into the critical race subject that's in America just now. But people probably don't want to have that thrown down them and beat down like a stick to beat someone with because it wasn't them.
Is anybody okay? But this is the thing I think that is so funny, because it didn't blow up until the people who were against it blew it up. It wasn't such a big deal until it was blown up by them. But you can't expect me to. Okay, so let me ask this. So if my child is in school and you're going to learn about Thomas Jefferson, who was a rapist, who owned slaves, who raped a 14-year-old girl, could have been his slave or not, but he raped her, whatever, as did most slave owners back then, whatever. So do I have the right to pull my son out of class the day or week that they're learning about Thomas Jefferson? Can I say I'm not going to have my child? So that means that if you're pulling your child out of this class, I can pull my child out of that class, and pretty soon the teacher's going to be sitting in the classroom by herself because no kid's going to be in class. I mean, seriously.
Or you could just solve it by homeschooling.
Well, and that's that's what I did. 5th grade through 12th grade, homeschool. I recommend it.
Yeah. Anyway, Jester. Sorry, have you got one last question for Jester before he? No.
Actually, I had another question for you.
A quick one. Make it quick because I don't want to take too much of his.
I know my show is coming up, but I had all these questions for Jester, and I know I've been running my mouth. Jester, what do you think of Juneteenth and Biden doing the whole Juneteenth thing? Because I thought it was him.
Okay, so Juneteenth, that was the day that they did that holiday for the freed slaves, right?
When Texas was the last state to free the slaves.
Gotcha. So that's what and he made it a federal holiday. I don't have a problem with it. I was pissed off because my company wasn't acknowledging it yet, and I didn't get the day off. I don't think it's a problem. Do I think he did it for clout? Absolutely. I think he did it for clout. That's it.
Okay, I thought he just threw us a bone to shut us up about the whole voting rights.
Well, that could have been that too.
So.
Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us. Jester, promote your show before you go. Where can we find you?
My show is It's Doomsday Podcast. You guys can find me on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, pretty much everywhere. We're out there.
And what time are you usually on? So
we do a live every Sunday night at 8:30 Pacific, 11:30 Eastern Standard.
Awesome. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us, and I love these chats more and more.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been good, and we'll definitely have you on again. Anyone wants to check out Jester's performance on the gun control show, that's episode 2. We'll have you on again, bud. And thanks again. Any last words, Solid?
No, sorry I ran my mouth so much.
Don't worry. Anyway, your show is coming up in 20 minutes, so we'll have to get prepared. Let's get a cup of tea and meet back in 20 minutes.
All right. See you guys.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Have a good day, everybody.